Okay.
Can everyone hear me all right?
Yes.
Yes.
We'll go ahead and begin. We'll start the meeting at 12 o'clock and we'll begin with introductions. We'll start with the North Whatcom Commissioners. Chairman Ansel, you here today?
I am here today.
Vice Chair Fisher. Scott, your audio is not on there, sir. You there?
Lost his video too now.
Uh-oh. You there, Scott?
See you, Scott. We just can't hear you.
There we go.
All right.
I was trying.
Commissioner Crawford, are you there present?
I am present, sir.
Chief Vanderveen?
Yes, sir.
Is that Commissioner, or is that is that one of the legal we have? Rich Davis?
No. That's Rich Bossman. He's the
Rich Bossman,
the alternate. He's just observing.
Okay, great. And from the District 4 Board, Chairman Hanson?
Here.
Commissioner Andrews?
Here.
And District Administrator Chris Parks?
Here.
And today with us for the first time, we have our consultant, Karen Reed.
Oh, it's good to see faces with all of the names since I've had the pleasure of talking to all of you before today. Thank you. Except for Mr. Cunningham. I have not had a chance to speak with you yet.
And from Local 106, Representative Kenneth Cunningham. All right, so I think we've all been introduced here. And I believe everybody, have you guys all had the chance to review the meeting minutes from the last meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Is there a second to motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Show that Harry Andrews made the motion and Mr. Fisher seconded. And is everybody in favor signify by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Well, we'll go on with the main portion of this meeting, and I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Reed to go over her stuff.
The chief and I, good afternoon again. I'm really looking forward to working with you all on this project. As you probably know, I've worked with local governments in various capacities for over 30 years as a municipal attorney, assistant city manager, budget person, the last 15 years as a local government consultant. And one of the types of work I get to do from time to time that I particularly enjoy is working with fire districts and cities to help create regional fire authorities and otherwise look at ways to jointly provide services. So I'm not here to make decisions for you. I'm here to help make this process go along so that you can make the decisions in the most efficient and effective way for you as a group. I'm here to help you be successful and set you up for, if you reach agreement on a plan, set you up to be successful in bringing that forward to your voters. As we go forward, at any point, I think I've said this to all of you separately, but I'll say it again. If you at any point have questions or suggestions for me about how the process is going, I encourage you to reach out to me. I'm around and I'm happy to talk to you about anything along those lines. We wanted to really focus today's agenda on sort of what we're all here to do and why, and then how do we want to make this process work going forward. And so this is sort of a foundational meeting on the what and the how, and a little bit on the why of what we're here to do together. And so thank you for taking a look at the stuff we sent out in advance. Thanks to the chief and Jenny for helping get this information out. And we wanted to start with agenda item 3 is just sort of an overview information about RFAs. We have some additional information we can share with you that sort of contrasts why you might do an RFA with the idea, the alternative of merging the districts. And then we wanted to talk about the schedule and some of the questions that we'll be going through here at this table in order to develop an RFA plan. So that's the purpose of this next presentation, and the chief and I are going to sort of tag team a little bit on it. Are there any questions before I go further, or comments? Okay, everybody's still hanging in there. Good. We have a pretty full agenda, but I think we can get through this in about 2 hours, so we'll see how that goes. We can put the materials that we're going to go through on screen, or you guys can follow along if you've printed out your packets. So just for starters, what is your preference about how we go through this material? Would you like it on screen and then we can speak to it, or would you like to look at it on your desktop?
I'd like to see it on the screen personally. It's a lot of bouncing back and forth. For me,
Okay.
I didn't print the whole thing out, so.
No
Yeah,
worries.
on screen for me also.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask the chief then to go ahead and dial this package up then. Unless you want me to, chief. You got it there?
There it is.
Ta-da! And we can, if you can max that a little bit, great, the size. But basically this first document here is something that I tweaked a little bit that I've used with some other clients, just to remind us what the heck an RFA is about. Obviously, it's a separate unit of government, has its own chapter in the RCW. It has its own taxing authority, and RFAs have been around since 2004 in this state. And the idea was it's such an expensive service that regionalizing may create some opportunities. So they basically put some additional flex in here to make it easier for disparate types of communities to come together and form an organization, flex that you don't see if you're just looking at merging of districts. You guys have launched now the first step, which is to create the 6-member planning committee. And legal advice is that only the elected officials, the 3 and 3, may actually be deemed members. So we've got sort of a workaround to ensure that we are able to hear from labor at every meeting. But technically, the legal advice I have is that they should probably not be named as committee members. So engaged, participating fully, not technically a member. Once we work through the details of what an RFA plan would look like that would bring the 2 districts together, each district has to adopt that identical plan, same exact plan, but separately. They each pass a motion. And at that point, then you also say, okay, this is when we're going to go to the ballot. You put it on the ballot. If a simple majority of the voters in the entire area are in support, then the measure will be passed, unless you've got fire benefit charges or something else in the measure that requires a 60%. But the simplest threshold is a 50% plus 1 approval. Governing board, your governing board has to consist solely of elected officials. They can be pretty much any number. They can be districted. They can be elected officials from constituent organizations. They can be a mix of districted and at-large positions. You can set up a plan to transition the size and structure of your board over time. And this is really that flexibility I was talking about. It's set up so that you guys can find a solution that is right for you, and in terms of bringing the 2 agencies together. You want to scroll down, please? And so this is a list. There are 13 RFAs in the state. And I have a document that's a little bit, I haven't updated it recently, but I can share with you how each of them structured their governance board. Only 3 of them have adopted what's called a fire benefit charge. But you can see how other people have approached this. And one thing from having many people having gone before, we've learned about some mistakes and how to avoid them. And there's a really strong basic example of an RFA plan that everybody tends to work from, this same template, and fills in the blanks that work for them. You want to scroll down. This is just a list that you can look at your leisure. As you probably know, on funding, you will have the same funding options as a fire district or as an RFA. You have a fire levy, the statutory authority of up to $1.50. There's an EMS service levy capacity of up to 50 cents. Obviously, you can't impose that levy twice in the same jurisdiction, and you have the regional levy from Whatcom. You can also adopt a fire benefit charge that has to be submitted to the voters. It basically shifts a portion of your revenue collection to a risk-based fee as compared to just what's the value of the property according to the assessor. It's complicated. It increases your voter threshold for approval. So a lot of folks like to just retain the authority to do that at a later date, but not add that additional 10% voter approval burden to themselves off the mark.
Karen, is there a time frame if in the future we chose to do a benefit service charge? Is there a waiting period or?
Nope, you can do it at any time, any election, you could bring it forward.
Okay.
Rolling down a little bit. Okay, the schedule is really important for you guys because of once you create the RFA, you have to have done so by a certain date in order to quickly be able to impose the new levies for the RFA. And that's why we're looking at the schedule that you are looking at, which is to go to the voters next August if you reach agreement on a plan. And if you do that, then the RFA would be legally in existence on October 1st, at least that would be the plan. And if you do that, if you accomplish that creation of the new entity by October 1st, you are able to then ask the county assessor to impose taxes for the RFA starting 2 months later. And it's a special exemption just for starting RFAs. Just about everybody else has to have their stuff into the assessor's office in August, the beginning of August, but they made a special exemption in the legislature that allows you to go later in the year and still start collecting your taxes the following calendar year. So
Jason,
for example, sorry, go ahead.
Is that down lower? You're talking, there we go.
It's actually slightly up above there. It was right, that paragraph right above there on this from the screen.
Right here.
Roll up just a bit there, Jason. There, that's
Oh,
it.
there we go. Okay.
That October 1. So for example, if you guys waited until November next year to do the election, you would have to wait. You could not impose the taxes until 2023. You'd have to find a way, you would have to fund your RFA from your existing 2 district taxes for the 14 months until the new taxes could be imposed. So that's why the August date is pretty important in terms of knowing your financial planning. I won't belabor the question of annexing. It's simpler to annex. If you're a city, you can annex into an RFA. If you're a fire district, you can annex into an RFA. If you're a port, or you can annex into an RFA. You can't merge RFAs. So you have to, that's one difference. You have to start, if you have an RFA and somebody else is trying to join the party, you don't start over, you add them through an annexation process, which is usually a simple majority vote only of the voters in the jurisdiction that is seeking to annex.
Can an RFA annex a city? Is that correct?
Yes, they can. Mm-hmm. I'm working right now with North County RFA in Snohomish County, and they have previously, the city of Stanwood has annexed into the RFA, and they're currently looking to annex the city of Arlington into their RFA at an election next February. Okay, that's what I wanted to say about that. And Chief, I was wondering if we might want to roll to that. I don't know if you can do that. The document that I sent you late this morning.
Comparison.
It was the what happens between comparing an RFA to a merger of fire districts. I might be able to pull that up on
Email this morning.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. And so I thought it would be important to just sort of, and you guys can read this at your leisure since it's late breaking. I just worked with Rich Davis to pull this together in the last 48 hours. But similarities and differences between merging the two districts versus having the two districts join to create an RFA. Similarities, you're creating a new government entity, but if you're doing the RFA, you're going to have the other two, the component districts remain in existence until and unless you have an election dissolving them. Your funding authority is the same, except that in terms of the $1.50 fire levy, an EMS levy, a benefit charge, that's the same for fire districts as it is for RFAs. But the RFA has a lot more flexibility in establishing its initial fire levy rate. The maximum rate that you can establish in a merger is based on a statutory formula, which basically blends the two tax rates, adds 1% and value of new construction. Bellingham can continue to annex away bits and pieces of both districts, regardless of which path you choose. Cities can annex in, but the impact on their levy once they annex is different depending on whether they're annexing into an RFA or a fire district. In either event, the fire district's levy, fire levy, comes off the city's levy. So this can be for a city that has a really high general levy, this can be a limitation in their ability to really join a fire authority. But it's not a huge distinction between the two. It's a slight difference in the calculation, but it's not a big deal. So let's roll down and look at a little bit at some of the differences here, briefly here. Difference number one, in creating an RFA, the voters from both agencies together in a pool, 50% plus one of them must approve. If you were merging, it would just be the District 4, assuming you were merging District 4 into District 21, only the District 4 voters would be able to vote. There's a statutory requirement for public input in the RFA plan that is not mandated in a merger process under state law. You have to set up the 6-member elected committee. That's not required on a merger. There is some question about what happens to District 4's EMS levy in a merger. Clearly, we're more confident about what happens in the RFA situation. Basically, the district will be able to continue to impose its EMS levy until it is dissolved. And those revenues, I think, would then have to, yeah, I'll just stop there. Is this helpful or is this like, oh, we know all this, keep going, move on?
It's helpful to me.
Okay.
I feel it's helpful.
Okay. If I'm going too slow or too fast, just wave a hand at me and tell me. A big difference is that for the RFA to eventually get to the place where you have just an RFA, you have to have 3 elections rather than just one, right? You have to create the RFA and then you would go back to your voters later if you wanted to dissolve the 2 component agencies. Whereas if you're merging, you just merge and the one district goes away and there's just one entity left standing. But in the RFA scenario, it's important to understand that as long as the constituent districts remain in place, the RFA will need to set aside money to fund the elections, the periodic elections for fire district commissioners. Okay, until and unless they're dissolved. Scroll down a little bit if you would.
Karen, question.
Yes,
If, assuming we form the RFA, and the district still exists because we haven't had another election, does the taxing authority from those districts go away because of the formation of the RFA? When you're talking about requirements for election, is that only for the commissioners and not necessarily for the taxing authority?
It's my understanding that the District 4 EMS levy would continue, but unless you guys took action to stop it. But the individual separate fire levies would stop as a matter of law and be replaced by the RFA's levies. Does that make sense? It may not make sense, but that's my understanding about how the law works.
Yeah, the whole EMS levy is kind of confusing anyway, because the county has an EMS levy and the district has an EMS levy. And I know that several years ago, I think Chief Purnett was involved in negotiating a repayment to the district for that EMS levy portion. I don't know, Rich Bosman, you were there during that discussion. Do you remember any of that? Sorry if I can call him.
Very little. I know he started down that path, but I don't know where it ended up, but that was his desire.
So it's my understanding that the District 4 does get basically its levy rate from the county. They reimburse it and make you guys whole because you had a pre-existing EMS levy in District 4. And that situation will continue unless and until District 4 is dissolved or District 4 otherwise takes action to say, please stop our EMS levy. Okay.
So if I live in District 4, currently I would pay their base rate plus an EMS levy, and then I would also pay the county an EMS levy.
I don't think that's how it works, actually, no. I think it's the one higher rate levy is imposed and the county makes the district
Yes.
whole.
That is what happens. You pay, the county makes Fire District 4 whole.
So you're not double dipping on the EMS. It's not two EMS levies stacked on top of each other. They're overlaid.
So if the county's EMS levy is higher, then there would be no reimbursement. It's only if the county EMS levy is lower.
But they just make sure, my understanding is they just make sure that District 4 gets revenue from the EMS levy equivalent to its levy rate in District 4.
And
They just
Karen,
take it out of the county's pool of EMS money and give it to you guys.
Karen, I would ask that maybe we get Chris Parks. She's really the, I would say, subject matter expert on the District 4 EMS levy and how it's been
Oh,
worked.
good idea.
So,
Chris,
Chris, if you could give us your perspective.
you are on mute, I think, Chris, although it's not showing that.
You guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had trouble with my speaker, but I think they fixed it. Yeah, currently, we have the EMS levy and it started in 2017. And they have the county has a 6-year levy, which expires in 2022. And currently we are levy taxes for the EMS levy up to a certain amount. And then the county puts in their levy, but at that time we don't know what that number is. It's always decided by the assessor, the difference during the year.
Sure.
Like this year we were able to levy, I think, close to $400,000, and just this week I received another 17,000 or something from the EMS levy from the county. So they make us hold to the highest lawful levy that we can ask for.
If it would be helpful, we can try to do a quick one-page write-up that summarizes all this.
Oh, yeah.
and bring it
Yep.
back.
Sure.
That way we can move along here. Jason, can you roll the page down a little bit?
Is that better? Can everybody see that or not?
It's still sort of stuck on the top-ish half of the page. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of the page.
Hang on a second here. Let me, I'm going to redo this here.
There we
Is
go.
that better?
That's better. Perfect. Thank you. So there's a distinction also between the two approaches with employees. We've talked about the funding so far. In RFA, all of the staff must be transferred to the new agency, but that is not necessarily the case in a merger. And also in a merger, it's my understanding that everybody is on probation. In the staff that are brought on are all in probation for a while. Let's see here. Assets and liabilities are transferred by negotiation, but in an RFA, so you could decide, we're keeping this, you're keeping that. There's some flexibility. There's not that flexibility in a merger. Everything goes over. And there's a lot more flexibility in how you can design your governance board in an RFA as compared to a fire district merger. You can see here, you start with all the commissioners from both agencies, and through attrition, you go down to 5. And that's your deal. So I thought this might be at least a helpful comparison. So as we go, okay, this is the process we have chosen. We have chosen the RFA. Don't want anybody to be sort of surprised later by the distinction had you chosen a different path at the get-go.
Karen, one of the things I've heard about RFAs is there's efficiencies for doing that, and that would be a sales pitch to the voters. For instance, let's say in one of your large organization RFA creation, and you have, let's say, 2 cities and 3 fire districts. You have to retain everyone if you form an RFA. Where are the efficiencies gained?
Right. You have, that's a really good question. I think the efficiencies argument can be overblown, because it is true that you have to start with the entire staff pool, and that does create some challenges, especially if you are coming in with 2 complete administrative structures. You don't need 2 complete administrative structures. You got to bring them together and go through a painful process of figuring out how do we right size this and treat everybody fairly under their labor rights. So that is just sort of a challenge on the labor side in an RFA. I would say that I'm not entirely sure that the efficiencies are wildly different in an RFA versus merging fire districts, except that the RFA is really a regional concept. You can have you can just cover, you can bring in more different types of organizations. And the idea is a larger service area, you may have a better ability to plan and your station locations so that you for maximum efficiency and minimize the number of stations you need.
What do you do in a situation where there's like 3 fire chiefs?
Yeah, somebody has to be the top dog, and that's often a challenging conversation with people. In the situations I've worked in, fortunately, the chiefs have all had a really good relationship, and they've said, okay, you get to be chief and you are going to be my assistant chief or something. And then that is confirmed in the organizational chart, how that all works, that you do have to sort of sort it out. John, did you have a question?
Well, I was going to say, can we create separate positions for them at the same rate of pay? But I think you kind of clarified that, so I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other questions, or I thought we might move on back to the regular packet. Okay. Thank you, Jason. So what we wanted to look at next was the short recap of the mission statement, which this is basically drawn from the statute, with your names filled in the blanks. The statute says that you are supposed to create a plan for a regional fire authority encompassing the entire territory and including proposed governance, design, financing, and development of service facilities and operations, including maintenance and preservation of facilities or systems. And you are advisory. So I thought it's really good to remind ourselves the scope of the responsibility that you are required to undertake by the statute. It's not all that mysterious, but it's pretty clear. Any questions about that, or we'll just keep going?
Sounds good.
Okay. The next document in here is something which I think is a draft, and I'm going to let Jason speak to this a little bit. I started it, and he took it on from there.
Let me, hang on, I'm going to switch documents here.
The latest and greatest.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not the updated numbers. There's the old AV.
Hang on.
I like to pull together this data so folks can just see it once we get it all correct and filled in. Just see that side by side and keep that in mind as we go through the discussions. Yeah, that's it.
Okay,
That's from today. Yeah, 9/24.
okay, so this is just a side-by-side comparison of
It's not showing it, Chief. It's just
not-
showing us your document choices.
stuff. Huh, okay,
Here we go.
hang on.
The joys of Zoom.
You didn't know you were going to become an IT guy, did you, Jason?
He's doing great though, really.
It's,
Way better than I would be doing.
I think I found what's not my calling. Okay, has everybody seen it now?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, so this is a side-by-side comparison of Fire District 4 and North Wacom or Fire District 21. Just simply from date of establishment, current populations, the annual population growth. This came from our master plan that was done last year. You can see the area in square miles, population densities, annual calls for service in each district. This is, I would like to add, this is actually total number of calls for last year, including the auto aid agreement.
Oh,
So this does have District 4's numbers. Commissioner Hanson and I talked yesterday that really the District 4 number is closer to 500 calls within Fire District 4. This includes the total. And those are included because of the transport revenue that we're pulling in from, that District 4 is pulling in from Bellingham. Last year was budgeted to be around $50,000 and ended up being about $95,000. So yeah, it is a substantial number. The land use or kind of points of interest, you'll see in the orange there, it does talk about the potential annexation areas with the city of Bellingham. Karen and I have gathered some maps and some data, as well as talked with Chief Hewitt from Bellingham to get some clarification on annexation that the city might be conducting. And really what, when it came down to it, what we found is that they don't have a lot of interest from most of the areas that we talk about as typical annexations by District 4 voters. There is one area, one slice that is looking to potentially request annexation by the city. But these wholesale annexations that we've kind of heard about are kind of on the back burner. And I don't know if that's a COVID thing or if it's a, or if it's just not the right time thing. Next, you see assessed valuations. That's where the correction came in. For 2020, these were taken from the county's annual tax book. The assessor's office is, I should have this data early next week on the median assessed value of homes within both districts. It's going to take us some time it's going to come in a little bit piecemeal, and then we'll have to put that data together. The levy rates, you can see District 21's is at $1.23, and then District 4 is at currently 87 cents plus the bond, which gets paid off this year. And the EMS levy puts them at $1.19, and it'll be $1.09 next year. So there's some makeup there on the District 4 side to even come to what 21 is doing today. The current governance structure of both boards, and then just some additional information at the bottom based on, came from the 2020 master plan, just talks about our makeup of rural, suburban, and urban areas, and then our current employees and volunteers.
Chief, do we have information on when the last levy lid lift was done in each district?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I will get that for you.
I think for potential trying to get us closer to that $1.50, going to the public with information about when the last lid lift was, which I'm thinking it's probably 5 to 10 years. It didn't happen during my time here. I don't know, Rich Bosman, do you know if you guys ever did a levy lid lift?
A while back, quite a while back.
I mean, I'm like 10 years maybe.
Yeah,
I want to say it was 2012, Bruce.
2012. So at least
about 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
How about District 4? Harry, do you know if there was a levy lid lift for District 4 or Chris Parks? Do you know?
I don't recall one.
Your levy is so low at 87 cents. It's got to have been a heck of a long time.
Yeah.
I've lived in this
I do not
district for
recall one.
17 years and I don't remember ever seeing one on the ballot.
Wow.
The only thing I've seen in the last 5 or 10 years was that EMS levy.
Interesting. Well, we'll find out that data. And I think that's a good point, Bruce, for when you go forward to the public. Say it's been unlike most things. We actually haven't asked you for cost increase in a heck of a long time.
Right, and with the 1% limit, we
Into it.
we lose 2% a year minimum to cost of living. So
So staff here just told me that in 2009, District 21 ran a ballot measure that failed.
Ooh.
During,
Well, we'll get that on here.
during the housing.
well, yeah, but understand in 09 is when the
Right.
recession,
Coming out of
That's
disaster.
right.
everybody left town in 09.
Okay. You guys ready to move forward?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
Okie doke. So the next page here, this is just, this is the colored list of things that we'll be talking about as we put together our RFA plan. And the chief will get that up on screen again here in a second. Chief is having fun with computers today. All right. There we go. So I just tried to, for folks, I tried to break things down into sort of simple topic ideas. There's sort of 5 categories of things we'll go through, and you'll see these. One of the things we're going to do next is go through a sample RFA plan, and you'll see how all these things pop up. So this is look 1. You have overarching issues about why the heck are you doing this? How are you going to talk to the public about it? Those are the sort of the overarching issues. And then you have the operations, how you're going to come together into one agency, financing, what kind of tax levy you're going to propose, governance, what's the structure going to be, labor issues. You guys are fortunate not to already to have your labor folks unified. So that takes one big headache away. You can see here this first slice of overarching issues. I think it's good to think about why you are doing this. What is the benefit for the fire service operation? What is the benefit for the communities? And we start thinking about that and talking about that today. Want to make sure you guys are being communicated with fully in the way that works for you. We do need to get some public outreach going by statute. We have to create, technically the statute says create opportunities for public input. And so you want to try to find a couple of authentic ways to engage your communities and see what they think about this, if they have strong feelings about it. And you do that as the plan is being developed. It's not doesn't need to be a massive thing, but you need to have some kind of a demonstrable record of public input being sought. Once the plan is developed, you put it on the ballot, you obviously have a public education plan that you will run to inform the community of why you've got this on the ballot and what it means for them. And then if the voters approve it, there's a mad scramble to then take the actions that are necessary to form the new RFA. It's a new taxing ID with the feds. The employees have to get transferred over and set up in a new system. So there's a lot of work that is going to be done. So if we're successful next August, if there's a little scramble of work between August election and October 1, when you are technically legally a new agency. I'm not going to read all this. You can just sort of scan. These are the types of issues that we'll be going over together that you will be giving us direction on that we will drop into the plan. Because you've already got merged operations for the most part, a lot of stuff is easier than it would be if we were taking two complete full service fire departments and trying to mash them together. This will be considerably simpler in most respects. You will, though, still have to go through the question of governance, how you design a joint governance board. And then if you roll down to the next page, I think some of the other challenges will be, how are we going to set that first levy? And how will we know it's sufficient to meet our needs? And you just sort of have to go through and figure out what you're going to do with all the assets. Are they going to be assigned over? Are you going to retain them? What happens to the liabilities of the two agencies that are outstanding at the time of the merger or of the creation of the RFA? You'll be setting some basic reserve policies, and that's important to determine if you're going to be generating enough money to feed those reserves, if you're generating enough money to survive between receipt of your major downloads of property tax revenues in May and October. So one of the things which I think has been very important to the other groups that I've worked with, and I've talked to the chief about this, is this idea in row 24 here of a 7-year financial plan, trying to model your existing obligations, your known future obligations, your sense of when you're going to need to take action with respect to your apparatus replacement and facilities repair, filling any gaps in your org chart. How much money will that take over what period of time? And will you be able to cash flow between the receipt of your property tax revenues? So there's a very powerful model that was developed by Bill Cushman, who's recently retired, and that is used by just about everybody I know in some iteration of it. Some people use a slightly simplified form to try to just look ahead, do their homework. Are we going to be is this going to be a financially sustainable thing? How frequently will we need to go back to the voters for a levy lid increase to maintain the level of service that we are telling folks we're going to be able to provide? And so I've suggested to the chief, he might want to think about finding a way to bring some folks on that can assist with that. And I actually did talk to Bill Cushman as one potential option, and he was willing to come out of retirement for this because he finds these really interesting projects. So that's all I wanted to say about that. That's just sort of a table of contents in a generic format for what we're going to be going through. Then that gets us down, and I know we're way over schedule on this item. So let's see, the calendar. We have basically between now and, if you want to go to the ballot next August, we have between now and April to develop this plan. And we'd have to submit it in early April to the two boards so that they take some time to adopt it, because by basically the end of the first week of May, the request to put this on the ballot has to go over to elections. So then you have a pretty short window for your public outreach and education. You may want to start before May if you're pretty confident you're going to go there. You do your election on August 3rd, and then you have to be effective on October 1st in order to place the request to impose taxes starting the following January. So on October 1st, we all sit down together and we approve who's going to be the chair and the vice chair of the new board and who's the secretary, and adopt some bylaws and adopt like public records policies and all those basic agency startup things that no one thinks about once they're up and running. You'll have to sort of do a big tranche of those on October 1 with the help of your lawyers, and then you can move on into operations from there. And on January 1st of 2022, assuming we keep this timeline, that's when the new taxes for the RFA would be imposed. And they would replace the fire levies from the two existing districts. Okay, questions about that? That sound look like what we were planning on? Vaguely familiar? Okay, so I'm going to move to the next agenda item, which was, what did I hear when I talked to you all? And I really thank you again for everybody on screen here, except for Kenneth, spending some time talking to me about why you thought this project was important, what some of the challenges might be, and what you were hoping to see. And I think the good news is that people are still pretty open with respect to the details of how this thing is going to work out. So that's good. The reasons that you most frequently I heard from you in terms of why are we doing this? To support Fire District 4 as this tax base continues to be eroded, to become more efficient in our operations and oversight, to move forward and into the future from the current service contract between the two agencies, and to create a platform for further regionalization where other agencies can join you. Does that resonate as what you guys think as the reasons for doing this, or was I missing something here that somebody would like to add? Not seeing anybody reaching for their. Go ahead, Harry. Okay. In terms of concerns, the most frequently mentioned concerns I heard were about sort of conflicts between those of you around the table having a sort of a holdover impact on this. And then just a question, where the heck are we going to set that starting tax rate? There was not a lot of success. There actually was no consensus on how to define success. There were a lot of different ideas. Again, the barriers to success were the challenges between the individuals here at the table, specifically also around what the organizational chart is going to look like. I asked you all about the public perception of current fire service. People were like, I think they like us. I don't hear any complaints. People, I think they do a good job, but I don't think they necessarily know a heck of a lot about the details about what we're doing. People were really open on governance. I think most people said 8 is too many. Most people mentioned 5 as a number they would like to see. And nobody really had strong opinions about districting or things like that. So that means you've got a good open slate to start from and move forward. Concern about the impact in District 4 in particular, being at such a lower fire levy rate. What is it? Where are we going to start with the RFA? What does that mean for District 4? Is that going to be workable? There was a surprising to me lack of consensus on what your current situation is vis-a-vis staffing levels, apparatus replacement, facilities conditions. Some folks thought there were some serious challenges that they had not been really funded in a while. And others were like, I think everything's fine. We got enough staff, or facilities and apparatus are all good. Yeah, we got a few extra stations, but you know. So there was some notable differences of opinion there. And I think that's going to be an issue for us to work through that will obviously impact where you want to go with your levy. Depending if there is no problem here, then there's probably less money needed. But if there are challenges with apparatus replacement and facilities and gaps in the staffing chart, and you want to address those, that obviously takes some funding. And here are some of the operational issues that were mentioned here at the bottom, which I won't read to you. So any reactions to that? Does that just look completely like, I don't know who you were talking to, that wasn't me? Or does that sort of resonate as, yeah, that's probably what you heard? Does that sound like probably what you heard, for better, for worse? Or anybody want to comment on what I wrote up there?
I think it's spot on.
Thank you, John. Other reactions anyone wants to share at this point?
I'll make a comment is that if Jason, can you scroll down back down to the barriers?
There we go.
Right here.
I've learned a lot talking with Jason and Chief Hewitt and others in the last week. And I kind of realized I've always preached governance management, and I was starting to see myself wanting to go in back again. I've done this a couple times. When it got into the organizational chart, I'm really not interested in the organizational chart that much. That's the chief's. Our goal is to pass the RFA. How the chief's, organizational chart looks is really, that's what we hire management for. So I wanted to correct kind of, Karen, when we spoke, I think I definitely gave you a different thought.
Yes.
And after doing a little research and talking with the chief, I want to just pull back that I have no concerns in any of those areas now.
Well, that's an important clarification then. Thank you for sharing that, Dave. Anyone else want to comment on what we saw here? No? Okay, well then let's roll forward to see what's next on this fine little agenda. I think we were going to look at the sample RFA plan really quickly. If everybody's looked at one before, this will be pretty quick. And even if you haven't looked at one before, it'll be pretty quick because they're pretty straightforward. So it'll be another thing where Jason pulls up a document here.
I don't think I have it on this. Let me see.
Here it is. Ta-da! Okay, so we'll just go through this quickly. It's a pretty short document, 17 pages plus a handful of appendices. So you can roll through that. So the first thing you do is why the heck do you think this is a good idea? And this is usually pretty much rote stuff about collaboration and efficiency and providing the highest level of service possible, but it's a required section that you state why this is needed and appropriate, and it helps you also clarify for yourself what is the reason you want to tell your friends and neighbors that they should support this. It's just like a page and a half. And then one thing I will just note at the very bottom here, you'll see in every one of these sections, there's a little thing called RFA section revision. And the thing which is interesting about this, which was a big surprise to me when I first started working with RFAs, is even though you are all working with this plan and you tell the voters, hey, here's this plan, you like it? And they say, yes, you can change virtually every aspect of this plan, including governance, including level of service, including anything, org chart, anything else. You guys can change it without going back to the voters. If you go in and change it completely right after you talk to the voters, probably they'd have a good reason to be pretty pissed off at you. But the fact is that this plan is a plan that you can change. It is an operating document for you as an RFA going forward, but you can amend it as situations and your needs and desires change. Okay, let's go forward here. There's some definitions, a very short section. We'll keep rolling through this. This is just a recital of the basis on which you're doing this, that it's authorized by law, and that each of the legislative authorities is going to approve it, and then it's going to go to the voters, and then the two districts will continue to exist until and unless dissolved. Okay, the boundaries are set in this plan by a simple, you just attach a map, you say it's this and this, here we go. And if you have some service agreements with people outside, not just mutual aid agreements, those don't really count, but if you have other direct service requirements, those would be mentioned and you'd address those. You address how those can change with annexations automatically. You don't have to go back to the voters. You will have a section here defining your governance. How many board members will you have initially? How many board members will, and you can just leave it at that. We're going to have 8 and stop there. Or you can say, we might start with 8, or we might start with 7, and we're going to try to go to 5, and this is how we'll get there. And those 5 will either be at large, or they'll be districted, or there'll be some combination of those. You could invite an elected official from the city of Blaine to be on this board if you so chose. So again, you have lots of flexibility here, and this is just like a short 2-page section that sort of maps out where you're going to start on governance. And if you have a plan to transition over time, what is that transition plan? And again, you can change this in the future. Okay, funding and finance. This is where you will talk about in between October 1 and January 1, each district will contribute revenue to support the operation of the RFA since its taxes won't start until January. And then here's where you would set your levy. And here's a good news is that even though you have the authority to impose $1.50, you guys always know, as you just went over, you're way below that right now. You can start your levy well below, wherever you want, below $1.50 and specify that in the ballot if you want. And then you'll have the delta between that lower amount and the $1.50 as banked capacity that you can access without having to go back to the voters for a lid lift. So that gives you some really interesting financial flexibility in this RFA model. And stop me if this is not making any sense. Otherwise, I will just keep going.
Yep, I was waiting for Commissioner Ansel to pop up there.
New news to me. So we set it at $1.30. The following year, we can just make it $1.50 and not ask anyone.
That's my understanding from, and Rich and I talked specifically about this, and I've got an opinion from him. You guys can, yeah, take a look at that. It surprised me. It sort of makes sense. You're telling the voters, but most folks are just going out and asking for the full $1.50, but you guys are in a unique situation. I'm not saying that you should do that.
Well, okay, so I know we're our own taxing authority, so we will never, ever have to go to a levy lid lift. Ever?
That would be nice,
Or
wouldn't it?
just one time?
Right. You could probably go for a very long time before your level was being eroded.
Commissioner Ansel, I think the
Sorry, I'm
consideration,
scratching my head. We're still subject to the 1%?
Yes, you would have to tell the assessor every year if you're gonna, yeah, 1% plus we want some of our bank capacity. We want to go to this.
Wow.
Oh,
Commissioner Ansel,
Sir.
I think the risk there would be maybe authorizing ourselves or, putting in that we would do a, potential fire benefit charge in the future. And if the board were to choose to, arbitrarily raise the levy rates, we may never get a fire benefit charge passed by the voters. That just.
No, I'm just, it's very clear now why forming an RFA is a good financial move. Especially, no offense to District 4, who's what, $1.09. Wow.
Yeah, I was surprised. I've not had this question before because everybody I've been working with has been, we're going out for $1.50, no question asked. But when I looked at how much lower your levy rates are, I thought, well, they probably won't go to $1.50, or they'd be thinking twice before they did that. They might need to, but anyway, what happens? So Rich Davis and his folks put together a memo for the chief on this particular question that confirms this finding, and I think we can get that to you all.
Yep.
I have a question. So
Yes.
currently, as Ansel just pointed out, we're at about $1.09. That's with the EMS levy. And then we have the bond that is going away, which was another 10 cents.
Yes.
And actually, so I actually working through this, listening to you here, it's really not that bad. If we were to come out to our voters here and were to want to go up to that, maybe both groups say $1.30 to begin with, or maybe higher, we're really not coming out and asking them for an additional 20 cents or 30 cents. Basically, we would close out our EMS levy, I would think, when we close out the district. So that would go away. So there's 22 cents that they're already paying. And then the bond is 10 cents that they're already paying. So the panic kind of in my head was, gosh, we're going to go out and ask for this additional 25 cents, but we're really not. We're going to need to ask for more. I think I don't see how we couldn't. Is $1.30? I just heard that number. Is that a number that we were thinking, or Bruce, do you think maybe we just go over the $1.50? I didn't know what you were thinking there.
No, I mean, I think $1.50 scares people. And I think if we can demonstrate getting $1.30 kind of sticks in my head for whatever reason, because it seems sellable. And anytime you try to go to the public, I think you need a package that you think people will buy into. I think we need to also inform them, though, that at least in my opinion, we have aging apparatus. Our engines are all 10 years plus old. Our fire stations are all 30 plus years old. We're either going to need to go to a capital bond for facilities and equipment at some point. I don't think 10 and 20 cent lifts are going to generate enough money to do what we need on the capital side. It's just the nature of the beast. We were a bunch of volunteer districts that came together and and formed a professional fire department, and that sort of changes the game. You have to have stations that people actually live in and sleep in and are earthquake safe, and they can cook meals in and work out and be protected from the environment. And our stations, one of them, I think, well, two of them, if we go 12 and 61 are probably the closest to that, but the others are in dire need of upgrading. So I think a question in the financing piece that we need to ask is, what's our sustainable day-to-day levy rate? Because I don't think even going to $1.50, we can fund all of our capital needs. And so then thinking down the road, at what point can we go back to the voters and say, oh, and by the way, we need another $50 million to buy equipment and build fire stations. So,
well, this is something where that doing some of that 7-year financial modeling can be really powerful, and say, we could on a pay-as-you-go basis at levy level X deal with this level of infrastructure need. And that's better than what we've got, and it's stable. But then, yeah, if we want to do the full meal deal, it's probably going to cost us more than we can feel good about getting from a fire levy or not. So I don't know what the answer is going to be, but that's, I think, a really important exploration for you guys based on what I looked at the ECRI report.
and I think our master plan identifies a lot of the deficiencies. So if we were to bring in an outside person, if they digested that master plan, they would see where the needs are. And I think then it becomes just a complicated math problem.
Yep, you are exactly right. You're exactly right. Okay, so again, if people are okay to go back and scan through the balance of this plan here real quick. We'll decide. So this, for example, we say here, the plan does not authorize the implementation of a fire benefit charge, but we reserve the right to do so later. The plan does not include an EMS levy, but we reserve the right to do so later if it's allowed by law. We can contract with other people. We can impose fire impact and mitigation fees, or other people can impose them and we can collect those for them. We'll set our transport fees. Then you'll have to talk about transferring your assets, two districts' assets coming over, usually so that you don't ask the taxpayers to pay twice for something, right? They've all paid for this stuff once. The practice is typically just say, okay, here's all our assets. They're going to the RFA, as is, where is, for free. That's the best practice that I've observed everybody doing. It's hard for me to say to the taxpayers, I know you bought that station once, but you're gonna have to buy it again once we do this RFA, right? So you identify what's getting transferred. This RFA was between a district and a city, so you'll see city references in here. You'll line those out. You'll list every truck and building, and those will be exhibits to the plan, and those just get transferred, and then you do some accompanying record documentation. Let's keep rolling. Almost done here. Also liabilities, if there's outstanding debt, you need to make sure we transfer that and address that very specifically so that no creditor is left hanging. You guys know exactly what you're going to be responsible for going forward. But again, you can amend that section. Org structure, you will attach an organizational structure chart to the plan. You will notice that the chief is going to be the chief for the entire agency. All the personnel get transferred over, maintaining their current rank, grade, and seniority. And all existing labor contracts will get transferred over. Let's see here. This is, I think we can just sort of scroll forward. Again, this is all subject to change later. Operations and services, you set the service level. So you probably at minimum say, we're going to keep the same standard of cover and service level as, or it will not be less than what it is today. Or you may be able to identify, and you may identify a bunch of improvements that you're going to try to make to that over the planning period, or not. Okay. You'll need to address the provision of fire marshal if you have a city involved, but that shouldn't be a deal here. This will not apply here to you guys worrying about this stuff. And then you're down to appendices. So you see, it's not a big hairy document. It's pretty straightforward. And one of the things that we can do is just take a draft template of this, start filling in the blanks with what we know, and then you guys can fill in the stuff we don't know. We don't know what the governance is going to be. We don't know what the levies are going to be. So we can focus our discussions here with the harder stuff, which is the governance and the fire levies. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure everybody had a chance to see that. You can keep this in your files and refer back to it and like, where are we? How does this fit in? But I thought it's a helpful exercise, I think, to go through and sort of demystify. It's not that complicated of a document. They're really important policy issues that you guys will be deciding. But at the end of the day, it's not a magnum opus. We can do it.
Karen, are we required to or in need of forming any subcommittees? I know we talked about the finance piece. We don't have a huge amount of extra staff available for doing stuff, but filling in the blanks is probably something that they can help us with, especially with the amount of information we got from the master plan. Are there any quote required subcommittees that have to be formed?
No, and I have to admit a bias I have about subcommittees. My finding is that every subcommittee can be totally awesome, and when they get back to the full committee, they're going to have to relitigate absolutely everything. So it's not a time saver, So, and there's just 6 of you, so we might as well just keep y'all involved all the way along. And that I found that usually works okay, and is probably the best use of folks' time. If that works for you, if people want to consider doing something different, we certainly can.
No, I was involved with Eastside Fire and Rescue's attempt to RFA Sammamish and Issaquah and North Bend and Snoqualmie and Fall City, and
that's just a little lift. I don't know why you had a problem there.
I think I went to like 8 meetings and we accomplished nothing.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Any other questions before we go? I'm going to try to shift gears now to process. And so this is the one process thing I'm hoping that you guys can give a thumbs up to today. And this is just some basic ground rules for how I would propose that we agree to work together to keep us on track and being efficient and respectful of each other and respectful of each other's times. So I apologize, Mark and Jason have heard this. I often say, if you got out of kindergarten with the thumbs up, you are probably good with these rules. But just in case, I want to let everybody read these top rules and see if those will work for you. And if we do, we can just go give me a thumbs up or ask me any questions now. So there's rules for us, and then just we'll start on time, we'll stop on time. I will keep a list of questions you ask, and we'll come back to those at the meeting. We'll approve a meeting summary. If you're not going to be here, please let me know, or at least let the chief know so that we don't wait for you. And my job is here to keep us on track and moving through things. Can folks live with those ground rules? Any questions, any gaps, things you want to add, questions you have about what's here? Will this work for you guys? At least for starters, you can change it if you like to later, but like to at least get some rules of the road, start to set those.
Do you need a motion?
Sure, that'd be lovely.
I'd like to
Wants
move.
to make the motion. Bruce, you're going to make the motion?
Sure, I'll move to accept the ground rules as written.
Do we have a second?
Oh, sorry.
Harry, you want a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a second. Any discussion at all, or no discussion? Okay, everybody in favor of the ground rules signify by saying aye.
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 Anybody opposed? All right, motion passes.
Awesome. Thank you. That's our first official action.
Yay.
Actually, second, you had a chair and a vice chair that you appointed last time. My apologies. Our first one with me. Thank you.
We did
Scott,
name
you had
the
something?
organization as well.
Oh, you did? Okay. That's right. That's in the meeting summary. So this next document, I am not asking for folks to approve it today, but if I'm going to go through, this is sort of a more formal set of process rules. It's still a very short document, but it's important to sort of help us know how we're going to make decisions and keep moving forward if we don't all completely agree, or if we reach an impasse, what do we do? So this is here to give us those rules now. Before we drive ourselves into a ditch, we have the rules for how to back out again. And so I'd like to go over those with y'all today, and then we would come back with some of the TBDs clarified and hopefully act on it at the next meeting. So that's the plan. So I'll go through this again at a fast clip and encourage everybody to read it if they haven't. The red text is places where you have options, and we want to confirm what you would like to do. So the very first section is the mission. You've seen that mission statement before earlier this meeting, no changes there, except at the end here you see we'll achieve the following goals and outcomes. And we're going to talk about that in the next agenda item here, just a little bit later today. The membership, it's been tweaked from where you started last time because of the legal advice that we can only have 6 formal members, the 3 and 3. And sorry, we cannot pay you other than your regular old stipends. Process schedule wise, I think you should aim at 2 meetings a month, probably probably not in December or January potentially, but I think if we do that, we should have a pretty good shot of completing all the work in front of us. But I wanted to just check in and see what folks' thoughts were about your expectations about how frequently we would need to meet. Have you talked about that much?
I think initially when we formed our committee from District 21, we were planning on at least 2 meetings a month.
Okay. Does that seem too little to anyone, or do you want to try to see if we can make that work?
I think we should make that work.
I think 2 months is adequate.
Okay, I think it should work.
I
Yeah,
don't
you're
think
okay with
there's
that,
any
Harry?
reason.
Harry, did you have a comment?
Harry, you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I think we talking over each other and it's getting blocked out. Sorry about that. Okay, so then if we roll down a little bit through here, what we'll do is we will bring you preliminary. I look at this since we are advisory to the full up. Sorry, can you go up again? Just to the top of that page there. Here we go. You guys are advisory to your boards. So in order to make sure that we haven't wandered off into the wilderness somewhere that the full board of District 21 is not willing to follow, we want to make sure that as you guys develop recommendations that you have a chance for the entire District 21 board to look at those and say, yeah, I'm still cool with that. And then District 4 can also on its own talk about the recommendations, but you are all here. So theoretically, if you say yes to something, that doesn't change. But anyway, the idea is that this is sort of make sure we check in as we go along and that we don't run too far off into the wilderness. That's the periodic updates to boards. And if either board says, we can't make this decision now, we see your recommendation, but we need more time. That's okay, we can do that. But we just ask them to do it quickly. But at some point we might get a board saying, I insist on X. And the other district said, no, it's gotta be O. If we hit irreconcilable differences, either party can at any point say, I don't want to do this anymore. And you could vote to withdraw from the planning committee. Okay. And if that happens, work will cease. I'm sorry, John?
But it has to be their whole board, correct?
It has to be a direction from the board. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not sure that it needs to be unanimous vote, but that would be up to the bylaws of the board. And I guess that's just a way of making sure we don't waste our time. If one group is like, we're just being nice, but we hate this. Trying to, let's get beyond that. Let's really own what we think, bring it forward, say, we really don't like this. So you guys can stop wasting time and money on this discussion because we're not going to go there. Okay, so all these meetings have to be public. The proposal is we will post the agendas at least 24 hours in advance online. We will get you your information several days in advance, but we will post the agendas at least 24 hours in advance. And to the extent possible, we will also post all of the materials that you guys will be going over. So this is transparent to the public, what you are taking up and deliberating on. Anybody will be able to go online and find everything that we talk about at these meetings under a special tab that says RFA discussions or something. We will have a plan for public input to ensure that we get that public input. And I'll bring forward some suggestions. I think the question is whether or not you will need also a limited amount of outside communications assistance to help us with some of the messaging and managing an online forum or two where you can take input. I like to try to make sure that at our meetings, everybody knows that if you want to submit written comments, here's an email that you can go to at any time in this meeting. And you can, if you're a member of the public, you can send us your comments at this email and make sure that everybody that cares knows where that is. We'll have that email once it's set up, named on the agenda. At every agenda, it'll say, if you want to submit a comment about the process, here's the email address. And then you guys will see all of the stuff submitted to that email address. So you can be kept apprised of any public input we get as we go along. And we'll also, again, try to structure some more formal public input as required by the statute. Okay. Towards the bottom of that page, sorry, before we go, one important thing. I usually think your time together is pretty scarce. So I don't usually structure these processes with a public input at these meetings. No public comment here. There's other opportunities for folks to weigh in. They can always send you an email. They can give you a comment at your other board meetings, but I like to focus our limited time together on trying to get through the work plan. So that's what this says. If anytime you want to take public comment, you can, but unless you make that express decision, the agendas for this committee would not include public input so that you can keep galumphing through the work plan. Concerns about that? We'll have other mechanisms. It just won't be here at this meeting unless you expressly choose. Like somebody calls you up and says, I really, really, really want to talk to you. Then you can take it up as a group. Do we want to let this person talk to us? Okay.
Karen,
Yes.
do you think, is there any need at all to have a website?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I think it doesn't necessarily need to be separate from your existing websites, but there needs to be a special, easily identifiable place on the District 21 website that can be accessed from the District 4 website that says if you want to see anything that's going on with these deliberations, click here and you will see everything. Does that make sense? So everything's transparent. It's just not, it doesn't need a separate domain name at this point.
And our minutes would be posted there as well.
Yes, your agendas, your minutes, all the documents we're going through today, they would be there.
Would that be an adequate place for public comment?
Well, that, I think you would do that, and then you would give them the email box where they could type in some comments and send them in if they had them. And you could just leave it at that. I think it would be nice, and I think more in keeping with the spirit of the statute, which calls for public input, to do something a little bit more outreachy and trying to engage people than just trust that they'll know to go to a website and we'll let you know. I think we want to sort of think about, maybe it's through your fire district newsletters, other mechanisms that you have to try to promote people's awareness of this discussion and encourage them to get informed. And the website is the first place they get informed. We'll also have at that web link location, it's not a separate website, it's embedded in your existing websites. Have frequently asked questions, an overview of what this is all about and who you are and why you're doing this. So in addition to the meeting agendas and materials. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And we'll talk more about the communications plan probably at the next agenda. Just try to see what the tasks are, the big tasks. Okay, this is important, public communications. There will be very few positions this committee takes. We now have ground rules and we have chairs and we have members, but we don't have positions on pretty much anything else yet. So if people ask you, you're free to tell them what you think about all this idea. Just make sure you distinguish your position from the position of the committee, which is probably, we haven't decided yet, right? We're still talking about it on just about anything for quite some time. That will be the answer. We have a chair and a vice chair. I will work with them in advance of the meetings with the chief to set the agendas. You, if you're not with District 4, you can resign. District 4, it's going to be problematic for us if you resign, since we don't have anywhere else to go and we need 3 of your elected officials. So I hope you guys will stay engaged. We'll give you 7 days notice of meetings. We will get you 24 hours notice of special meetings, agendas 3 days in advance, and all the materials at least 2 days in advance, unless we just can't get it. Some stuff will be late breaking, and with our apologies, you may be looking at it on the fly. But if you're not comfortable making decisions at any point, we can come back to stuff. But we will always try to get you stuff well in advance of the meetings. If you want longer times than this, this is the time to say, back that up. I want more notice than what you've got here. Okay. Quorum is a simple majority. We got to make sure we comply with the public meetings laws. And then we can go down to J, decision making. Everybody here has 1 vote. We try to work from consensus, but if we need, and we're going to define consensus as 2 of you from each side. So a 3-to-1 vote in favor, there's all 3 on one side and 1 from another says yes to something. That's not considered consensus. We're going to call consensus as 2 and 2 support. If it's 6 zip, great, awesome. But the idea is not to slow us down, but just to note the places that we may not have achieved consensus. If we only have 3 and 1 supporting an idea, we can continue to move forward. But when we do our bouncing up to the full board at District 21 and whatever side reflections District 4 wants to have, that lack of consensus would be noted. To approve the final plan, it would take at least 2 and 2 from each side to support that. Staffing, here we go. It'll be me, and we wanted to put in something in particular about legal advice. So the proposal is here so that any legal advice that we need, we would have Rich Davis would take point on, but he would share his opinion and his advice with Joe Quinn before giving it to you. And if Joe disagrees or agrees, that would be noted, and any points of disagreement would be noted. That way, you don't have to decipher dueling legal memos. You'll have one with any noted disagreements, but you will have confidence that both legal counsel have been consulted. Will this work for you guys?
Yes.
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 Do we need to make a motion?
No, that's okay. We'll formally adopt this at the next meeting. I just wanted to call that out in particular. And if you haven't done so already, you're going to want to decide how you're going to divide the costs associated with the project. And you could do that in pieces. There will be my contract. I'm hoping there will be at least some financing assistance, possibly some communications assistance. Eventually, when we have worked through this, there will be some election costs to be shared, public outreach associated with the election to be shared, and then some transition costs. So there are a number of things to be mindful of. It's not a really cheap undertaking. It's cheaper than a lot of things, but just being aware of, before you go down incurring the cost, make sure how you're going to take care of those. So this is a charter, and I think we've talked about the variations. And again, I didn't want you to have to approve this today. I was really hoping everybody has a chance to read this again, think about it. I will conform it based on the rest of this meeting's discussion into a final draft, and you can amend it and pass it or not, but it'll be on the agenda at the next meeting as a potential action item. Any questions or surprises or concerns about this document so far? This is the end of it. Sorry, end of document.
None here.
Oh, good.
None here either.
Karen, how is the funding normally done? Is it just an equal share between the jurisdictions, or is it done differently?
In everyone, I'm sure it's done differently in different places. And the ones I have been involved in, everybody has taken it 50-50. So that no one feels like, well, that person must be working for you because you're paying 70% of their bill. I mean, I'm here to support all of you equally. I'm not here to support just one district or the other. And that is obviously reinforced, but it is your choice. it is your choice as to how you decide to share those costs. And we may need to come, if we haven't decided that already, and you don't want to, you can decide that on separate agendas, or you can come back and confirm that here at a later meeting. Okay, that is it on that. And then I want to hear, I'm tired of talking, seriously tired of talking. So what I wanted to ask you now is, remember in the first page of that charter that we just went through, there was a gap, and I said TBD about why are we doing this? What are the goals and outcomes we're hoping to get? And this is a set of sample goals. There's just these 7 points. We can scroll up just a smidge, Chief. And what I wanted to ask each of you right now was to take a look at these. And I'm going to ask everybody in turn, do these make sense to you? Would you remove some? Would you edit some? Would you add some? So take a look and think what you think about these as we can refine these messages over time, but we need to have somewhere to start. Do these make sense to you?
You do to me.
Yes.
Yes, for me.
Yes, for me as well.
The only one that I have a question maybe needs to be defined is to improve efficiency of operations. Because we're currently doing everything as one already.
Yeah. We could take that one out for now.
I'm not saying, I just want maybe people to understand what that means. To me, to improve efficiency, maybe require adding support staff or something like that. But
right.
Oftentimes to improve efficiency means cutting staff. And in our case, I think we're just the opposite. To become more efficient, I think, we lack an assistant chief, we lack a training officer, we lack public education.
We could qualify this by saying to improve efficiency and effectiveness of operations.
Yeah, I think effectiveness is helpful for me.
Does anybody object to adding an effectiveness in there? I totally understand Bruce's point. Efficiency is not all about slashing.
I think it's well put. Thanks, Bruce.
Very good.
I agree.
Anybody can think of anything else that's missing or confusing in here?
Nope.
Well, this will
Good
be our...
starting spot.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's a good place to start.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
Okay.
So we'll start here then, and I will drop these with these 2 additional words into the committee charter that we bring back for you to take a look at and possibly act on at the next time. So thank you. That's really helpful. Just we now sort of, the idea is to try to make sure we're all like, yeah, this is why we're doing this. There it is in black and white, and I agree with it. It's just nice to have that foundation we can all go back to and say, remember, we're trying to do this. And so that's one of the reasons to drag you through that little discussion.
If I could, in reference to number 2, Commissioner Ansel, maybe instead of improve, it would be to, I'm using the wrong word, but solidify the efficiency of operations, to kind of take this loose structure that we've had for these 10 years and actually put it together for real and memorialize, or I don't know I can't think of the right word right now, but you understand what I'm trying to say?
As I think what you're saying has to do with combining the 2 jurisdictions.
Correct.
And so to improve or
unity to strengthen the
looking
unity
at
of
it as
operations.
we're already one, but anyway, yeah, I don't know what the right word is. I hear what you're saying.
It's something like to strengthen the unification of operations between the 2 districts, something like that.
Yeah, or I mean, we could even leave efficiency in there that instead of that the efficiency's already happened, we're just making sure that it's not going to be broken apart or, we're going to memorialize it. Like I said, I don't know the right word, but
Well, why don't we say, Chief, you and I will wordsmith the heck out of something between now and the next meeting, and we all can linger on that particular point when we come back to it.
Okay.
That's a really good point, Jason. Thank you. Okay. Next thing. I think this is just about the last thing we have other than picking our next meeting date. So you guys are doing awesome. Based on what I heard from talking to you guys, the three big issues are your org chart and staffing, but with Dave's statement today, that may be less of a big deal than we thought last week. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
Setting the initial fire levy rate is going to be a chunk of work around what kind of financial needs do you have? What is your stomach for asking for a higher levy rate? And then governance. Got tons of places you can go here. I'm sure we will find something if we work at it. It's just a matter of going through the steps.
I just want to come back on that, the levy rate. I really feel a lot better today after listening and sitting through this, that I do not think I would have a problem going out and, and that's one thing I really want to participate in is selling the levy to the community. But based on seeing, where we're at right now, and the point that I think Commissioner Ansel brought up is how long it's been since we've even asked really for anything. Well, we did ask for an EMS levy, but that would simply be replaced. I sure am comfortable with that $1.30, $1.35, somewhere in there amount. I'll support whatever the committee comes up with, but I sure don't think I'd have a problem in our community going out based on where we're at today and selling that. So I just wanted to, again, reiterate that.
Also a comment, please. I don't think that we would ever get our persons to approve a direct raise of $100.50. They wouldn't go for it. It's too much of a raise.
Right. Not right now. But if I heard correctly, if we were to get the $1.30, we have the ability to take up to $1.50 without having to go back to them at a later date. And I'm not trying to be a kind of swindler or anything. I'm just stating that at some time or another, we're going to have to determine, that we're going to probably have to do that or head toward closer to that.
Or a bond or something. Yeah.
That's probably the way, but and I think I heard Commissioner Ansel state that, and that's probably a good direction.
I think we've all had really good conversation today about what that levy rate looks like and what it should look like or what it's gonna look like. And everybody's really supportive of it, but I think that we need to get that financial analysis, and that's going to be the first key before we move on. We need to figure out what we need going forward in the future.
I hear you.
All our statements and our needs are about efficiency and keeping this sustainable, and figuring out what we need first is going to be the key going down the road. And everything sounds very positive so far. So
yeah, that is a good point. We don't know enough yet for us all to augur in on a choice of levy rate.
That's for sure.
Stay loose. Okay, last document here. So work plan. There are basically, I think, sort of 3 or 4 sort of tranches that we can pursue simultaneously. My experience on this is that it is a mistake to hold one issue to the very end, because you might find out it's fatal. And if you had known that up front, you would have saved yourself a lot of time. So I like to work on, incrementally on all the stuff throughout the plan. So a lot of stuff is really easy and won't take a lot of time, like boundaries and knowing what your labor costs are going to be, because you have a contract in place that will go forward, unless you're in the middle of a nasty labor renegotiation, of which I'm blissfully unaware. The service levels, there's a lot of stuff that you've already worked through because the district operations are unified. So that's the simple stuff. We'll just plop it into a planned format and you guys can affirm or talk about, should we take this opportunity to anticipate some changes? So that's the easy stuff. Then but if there's anything in here that's like, and I don't encourage people to identify, like, if there's something in here that is truly, that you know of, that is truly like, if this happens, I'm just can't do it. Then we should, and there's like a go, no go place. Like if somebody was insisting on $1.50 one side and the other side said, I just can't go there, that might be a go, no go. I think on org chart, we know that everybody has to be brought over. And so there may be some question about the position that, you know, that is being given to the person that is being brought over. Hi, Chris. But I'm hoping that doesn't, with Dave, we'll take up the org chart. Let me just say, we'll take up the org chart sooner rather than later and try to find some options for your consideration in terms of how that comes together, and hopefully avoid that being a go, no go type of a situation for you. Am I making sense, or am I being way too opaque?
No, that's great.
Okay. Then we'll have another set of work around setting the levy rate, and we'll have another set of work around governance. So basically that's it. We'll have the easy stuff, and then we'll have the levy, the org chart, and governance. And we'll try to make progress on all of those as we go forward at the same time. And so if that kind of makes sense to you, again, with this iterative check-ins with the full commissions outside of this room, I will draft up a work plan, assuming that we're going to meet twice a month, that sequences these discussions in a way that I think will be productive and not too overwhelming. The work plan will evolve, and I can't anticipate all those, but at least we'll have a roadmap to start from. And if this general approach that I'm talking about, of taking all the things and working on things simultaneously, makes.
Uh-oh.
Lost you there for a second. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I lost here.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
lost her.
at the end.
We lost a facilitator.
Yeah, she used up the internet. Hang on.
Maybe a tree fell down in Birch Bay. No, what is that? What happened last time?
Yeah.
Hopefully she knows she's off. Hey, Mark, while she's gone, do we want, oh, see if she's back.
She'll ask to come back here.
Do you want to look at the next meeting?
Well, I'm just wondering if you know, while we have labor here, I mean, we kind of said that they weren't going to have a lot of quote decision-making input, but should we maybe find out if there is any pressing issue from labor that we may be overlooking?
Well, at the end of the meeting, we're scheduling a time for public input and labor input too.
Okay.
So I'm sure Karen, when she gets back, she'll get to that. I'm kind of wondering why it's not on the agenda here, but we could add that too. If you had anything you wanted to add, any labor input, Kenneth.
Nothing at this point. I'm just still kind of getting the understanding of how your guys' meetings are going and what you guys have done already. So
yeah, we're kind of still in the building blocks process right now. I mean, we haven't even adopted the charter, but we did adopt some ground rules today. That was a good step. But going forward, at the end of the meetings, you'll see a spot for public input.
Jason?
And,
Yes.
labor as well. So.
You there, Karen?
Jason, this is Karen. I had to call back in. My whole cable just crashed on me. I apologize, but I am back.
Okay.
Okay.
Everybody's
and
here.
Comcast is going to have to be spoken to. So where are we in my absence? Are we still on? I think I was about done, and I just needed to ask you if you were generally okay with this approach, and I'll bring back a work plan consistent with that.
Yeah, that's where we're at, and we're kind of down to the discussion questions for the group.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see here. Let's go back to those discussion questions. Yeah, is this approach okay? Are there any other no-go issues or other questions or suggestions? So should we just go around the committee and Jason and ask for any other input on this?
Can everybody hear Karen?
I can
Yes.
hear him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, just at those, let me share that screen here. Oh, no, I'm doing it. I'm sharing the screen.
It's up.
So yeah, any of these discussion questions? Commissioner Chamberlain, I guess, is the chair. You want to lead off here?
I don't have any other questions or suggestions, and I don't have any go no go issues. Is there any from the District 21 commissioners at all?
I don't have any either.
Bruce?
Well, at what point do we pull the trigger on this financial analysis? I mean, it seems maybe that's our next meeting or something, but it seems like we really need to get that rolling as soon as possible. And I just don't know the timing of us approving, moving forward with that. I guess we have to decide, are we going to fund this 50-50? And then decide if we want to hire someone to do the financial analysis or something like that.
So as Karen indicated, she reached out to Mr. Cushman or Chief Cushman, and he said he's willing to work with us. His hourly rate is $200 an hour. Feels that this project would come in at under $10,000 for the complete cost.
I think its rate's 175.
Oh, I'm sorry. There she is.
Yeah, sorry. I'm back.
She's back. And
You're under.
it's just, I was looking for a green light from you guys as far as reaching out to him and getting further details and having him take an initial look at what we've got and see if he could give us a better idea of what it would cost.
I think we should do that.
I think a lot of his work is done because of our recent master plan study.
Yes. I don't think it will not be, it shouldn't be burdensome on staff, and it would actually be a great exercise for me to go through.
He'll be building on the data from the ECRI study. And that's super helpful that you guys have just done that plan.
Well, are we going to address the funding issue next meeting, Karen?
When you say like as in setting a levy rate or as in project funding?
Project funding.
Project.
I was thinking we would probably want to come back and talk a little bit more about the bringing some add-ons in the way of financial and communications help, and if that works for you guys.
Yeah, I'm just, because we're on this short timeline, I mean, I guess one of the go no goes is going to be what's it going to cost, and do we think we can sell that to the public? I mean, if we have somebody do a financial analysis and says you need $2, it's probably a go. So
right. I think the sooner you can get Bill started, or someone like Bill, the better off you are. It's a lot of data input. He has to input everybody's salary and every, replacement cost of the various vehicles, and thoughts about capital. So to the extent you have any capital facilities improvement or apparatus replacement plans priced out, timed out now, that would be ideal. I've just seen the ECRI suggesting this is what you have and these should have been replaced a while ago. I haven't seen anything more in terms of like an actual replacement plan with price tags. So that there will probably be a little bit of legwork around some of that, and some recommendations from the chief on baseline. We got to take care of this in the next 5 years. And then the rest of it is sort of like, well, it would really be nice, but I can maintain my service levels if I got this. And I don't know sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Karen, sorry.
I was just saying, I don't know the extent to which that kind of homework has been done.
Well, we've ordered some apparatus, so we do have pretty good pricing on that kind of stuff. Facilities would be a little bit of a challenge, but I'll leave it to you, Mark, but I think we ought to maybe move forward with getting someone to do a financial analysis.
I completely agree, Bruce, and I know that Vanderveen's he's already looked at Cushman, so I support going out and getting some financial advice from an advisor. So
Do we need a motion then to move forward with that? Or is there just general consensus amongst the board that we should do that?
This is being paid for by both boards, correct?
Yes.
I would think it
We don't-
should.
We don't know exactly what the split is, but normally it's 50-50, but you know, whatever.
I would think that would be fair.
I as well. Do we need a motion, Chief or Karen?
Well, it doesn't hurt if somebody wants to make a motion that it sounds like two motions. One is to generally that your approach would be to split costs 50-50. And second would be to direct the chief to try to engage some financial modeling assistance sooner rather than later.
So let's go with the first motion of splitting the cost 50-50.
Move to approve.
Second.
Is there, okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Crawford. And then who seconded?
Me, Scott.
Commissioner, Vice Chair Fisher. Is there any discussion about this? Any more discussion from anybody? No discussion then. I guess we'll go to vote. Everybody that approves a 50-50 split in the costs, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, then the 50-50 costs is Jenny show that has passed. And then the second motion, does anybody want to make a second motion for to have the chief go out and get the financial assistance?
Move to
So
approve.
moved.
So again, I think that was Commissioner Crawford that made that motion, and
I'll second.
Harry, I think it was actually, sorry, Dave, I think Harry seconded it.
Oh, okay.
Is there any discussion about this? Any for or against? Okay, no discussion then. We'll go ahead and vote. Everybody that wants to allow the chief to go forward with the financial assistance, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody oppose? All right. Ms. Sand, show that is approved. Anything else? Do we want to, Karen, did you want to go back to the other stuff on the discussion questions for the group?
Well, but just the last one, I would guess, if there are any questions or suggestions about the work plan before I go ahead and put it together, I'm going to try to base it on the approach I've described here of moving together simultaneously on the easy stuff and the three harder issues. And we just start from the general and work to the specific. What are our options? What are your principles and goals? And then what kind of outcomes will meet those? And then pick one. So it's it just pretty logical process, nothing magical about it. But and you guys can amend the work plan that I bring back as a draft, or you can blow it up completely and start over. But based on what I've told you, I think I can write a work plan for you to take a look at our next meeting.
How much time do you need?
Oh, I can pull this together in the next week.
Should we schedule a meeting for 2 weeks then?
I think that would be perfectly fine. Let's see here. I should probably look at my calendars though.
I like those doodle polls there, Chief.
Yeah.
Or the noodle polls, or
I got that from an assistant chief at BFD, actually.
Okay. So I have to admit that Thursdays at this could be a
Thursdays are going to be bad for me for the next 6 weeks, starting October 1st.
yeah. Are there other days or times that we should maybe posit that we could look at?
Wednesday's good.
Wednesday late in the afternoon works for me.
Me too.
Works for me, any Wednesday.
Most Wednesdays will work for me. I've got a couple that will not work. The 14th, the 14th and the 21st will not work for me at this precise time.
We go the 7th.
The 7th will work for me.
I
If
have,
we're going from like noon to 2 again.
I have a doctor's appointment at 11:30 on that day.
I'm on shift that day, so.
Do you guys generally prefer something that is in the noon area? Is that the preference?
Preferably after 1 o'clock usually works for me.
I would
After
like
1
that
o'clock?
too.
I like afternoons as well.
So how about like 3 to 5? Does that work for people?
Any day works for me at that, even Thursdays.
Yeah,
Well, Jason and I Jason will get a doodle pull out. We'll test them. So maybe we'll aim at more sort of 3 to 5-ish type days and times.
That'd really be good.
And if we
Yeah.
can pick one that works and just make adjustments if we really need to, that would be great. Just get them on our calendars and plan accordingly because the fall's starting to clog up everybody's workloads.
So do we want to look at a doodle poll schedule for the first week of October then, or the 5th through the 9th?
Does the 7th work for everyone from 3 to 5?
Works for me.
Or are you working, Mark?
I'm on shift the 7th,
Okay, all right.
but I mean, I could try to
Well,
chime in on shift. And then if I have to leave, Vice Chair Fisher could take over for me, so.
and what was the 8th? That was,
The 8th is really a pretty rotten day for me.
okay. How about the 6th?
6th is wide open for me right now.
The 5th and the 6th work best for me.
Good with
I won't be able to make it on the 6th. I have a stress test.
6 is a bad day for me.
So Monday, the 5th from 3 to 5, does that work?
Good for me.
Good here.
Yeah, I won't be able to make that either.
Oh, that's not good. Wednesday, the 7th, is that the best? Just hoping that we can get Mark for at least some of it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay,
Okay.
let's pretend we'll do that. And on the 7th, we'll meet again on Wednesday, the 7th from 3 to 5 and hope that there's nothing of all of interest happening anywhere near Mark's job. And
oh, there will be now, just,
that we jinxed it horribly, sorry. And then we'll doodle pull y'all on the rest of it.
I just wanted to point out I'm available Monday through Friday from pretty much any time you guys.
And don't you forget it.
Did we want to look at scheduling these out like every 2 weeks, like make it regularly right now?
every other week type thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like to get a consistent time and date so we can all just get in the routine of when packets are done and you can start looking for stuff in your email. And the magic will be if we can find a date that works for just about everybody most of the time. If you got to miss something once in a while, that's okay.
So in 2 weeks after that, should we look at setting another doodle poll for that one as well then? Okay.
And going on from there. We'll try to find a standing date that works every 2 weeks, some point after the 7th. Okay. I think the last thing I wanted to do was just give everybody a chance, a roundtable, and particularly for Mr. Cunningham, who's been very patiently listening, if he is still here. Yes, there he is. Just a quick roundtable as we close out this meeting. How are you guys feeling? Any thoughts coming out of today that you wanted to share, or just thumbs up, off we go? And I'll just, Mark, you want to kick us off, and we'll just go around and everybody on the call can just share whatever they would like, and as in a way of closing comments here. They don't need to be lengthy.
I'm feeling great. A thumbs up. I don't have any concerns so far. I think there was a lot of good discussion today and some statements made that help us moving forward. And I feel very positive about this.
Great. Thank you. John, where are you? Mr. Crowley, how are you
Yeah,
doing?
I'm good. I think this needs to be done and look forward to moving forward.
Okay. Scott?
Yeah, it's been a good discussion and I'm just looking forward to moving forward. I don't have any questions at this time.
Dave?
Yeah, I feel great after kind of participating today and hearing everyone and seeing the hard work that you've done and the chief have done. I can't imagine anything that would be a no or go for me. I think just I've got a better understanding. I like what I'm hearing, and I just look forward to being able to get to a point where I can go out and start supporting the team and selling this important task. So
Excellent.
on that note, I need to jump for another meeting, so I'm going to say goodbye if that's okay, Mark.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Dave.
All right.
Take care.
Bruce?
I think we answered some good questions. I'm kind of known for asking nitpicky questions all the time, so you just have to get used to me.
Okay.
But that's just my nature. So I appreciate all of the background work that everyone is doing, and I feel good about it. I think we've been wanting to do this for a long time, and we're finally getting there.
Okay. Harry, how are you doing?
Thumbs up. Let's move on.
Okay. And Mr. Cunningham, any thoughts for us that you would like to share? And they can be longer than thumbs up if you.
No thoughts from labor at this time. I'm just excited this has finally gained some traction moving forward, that we've been trying to do this for a couple of years now. So it's an exciting time for us. So I'm just looking forward to being part of the process.
Excellent. I hope you will. Thank you for staying engaged, and I hope you will share your ideas and suggestions as we go. Chris, oh, sorry. Chris, did you want to share anything?
I just want to thank you for presenting us with all the information that you emailed out, and that I like your approach that we work on different work plans, different items simultaneously.
Okay. Thanks, Chris. Jenny, do you want to add anything? You're the mystery girl in the lower right-hand corner. Don't you?
Nope, she says no thanks.
No thanks. I don't. Rich Bosman, anything here? Thank you for being here today.
Just that if anybody is unable to attend, let me know as soon as possible.
Oh,
so I can try to be here to fill in. And the only other input I'd have is I'm really encouraged by the discussion on the levy rate, and looking forward to the financial study as soon as possible.
And I think I've got everybody except the chief.
I'm just glad to have us all in the same room and working on this thing. This has been a long time coming, and yeah, this organization really we're limitless. We have a ton of potential, and it's good to see this finally get coming together.
Nice. Did I forget anybody? Did I get everybody on the list? Okay. Well, thank you all. That was all I had. And you guys have been super patient and great to keep up with me blathering through 97 pages of stuff, but I think we are well launched, and I appreciate your support so far. I'm looking forward to working with everybody. And Mark, I think it's back to you.
Well, I don't think we have anything else then, do we?
Nope.
Karen, I just wanted to say thanks for your time today, and I think we all look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Likewise, I really enjoyed my discussions with all of you on the phone, and I'm looking forward to working with the group.
Did Jenny have a comment? I could hardly hear it. Oh,
she'll never say anything.
Okay. Since there's nothing else, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So move.
Negative.
It's unanimous.
All right, so Vice Chair Fisher makes a motion to adjourn, and seconded by Commissioner Ansel. Everybody in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, we'll show the meeting adjourned at 2 o'clock. Thank you, everybody.